What's going on, A to Z Sports? It is your Titans post-game live and a victory post-game live for the first half of 2024. 31-12, Easton Freeze. Before we go any further, the streak is over. 1,002 days, and the streak is over. The Titans have scored 30 points, and it was not a pretty 30 points by any means.
Who cares?
I did not see the Titans 30-point game, streak-breaking game coming in a game where they have 110 passing yards. But thanks to a safety and then a weird thing on the punt, the Titans get 9 free points right at the end of the game, and 30 is 30, as Ashley says. So
shame on you all for not knowing the rules on a drop kick, intentional onside after a safety landing zone rule. Shame on you for not reading that part.
Shame on all of you. You guys don't know ball.
Did you miss that part of class? Yeah, you missed that day?
I knew that rule. I had that ready to go.
That's right.
If you would have told me coming into this game tonight the Titans would win 31-12, I would have been feeling really good about where we're at moving forward.
I just said, wow, Will Levis was dealing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I feel good about the Titans getting a victory. I feel good about 1-3. I feel good about a bye week and taking a win into the bye week and potentially some intrigue around this team moving forward. But some questions obviously remain at quarterback and with Will Levis to Mason Rudolph. And those stories are not going to go away. Easton, we're going to talk about this game here. We're going to talk about all of the highs and the lows for the Titans. We're going to grade some of that quarterback play. We're going to look back at our X factors. So a lot to get to in a victory post-game live. Before we do it, got to thank all of our partners. They're X Golf Nashville, which is now in Murfreesboro, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X Golf, play, train, and entertain. PlayXGolf.com. BetMGM, if you bet on the Titans like Easton did on BetMGM, you'd be feeling good. And if you bet on Calvin Ridley like I did on BetMGM, you would not be feeling so good. But if you do BetMGM, use the bonus code ATOZ Sports for up to $1,500 back on your first bet in the form of a bonus bet. And T-Dot, be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee. Visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com. I guess, Easton, before we get into any of this stuff, what's your initial reaction to this game? Because it was ugly, but that final score sure looks pretty.
My initial reaction is 30 points. I can't believe it. Cheers to hey. Here's to the next 1,002 days. Can't wait for them to score 30 points again in 2027. It's going to be a great game.
Cannot tell me Brian Callahan did not know about the streak, by the way.
Oh, he knew. He knew.
You could have taken a knee and won that football game on a knee had he just done that. Or you also logically tried out Nick Folk for a field goal there. Right. No, Brian Callahan very much knew that.
And we would have come on here just roasting him for that because you got to do it. You got to do it there.
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like
I'd been furious.
I would not have roasted him if they would have kicked the field goal because that is the correct coaching decision and you should not be coaching. But he 100% knew. And Titans fans have to be feeling good because 31-12, you take them any way you can get them. And the Titans did something they haven't really done in all of their games up to this point, which is run the football. Tony Pollard, 22 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. Tajay Spears had 15 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown. That's 37 carries for the Titans' 2 running backs, but they combine for over 120 rushing yards, nearly 130 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pollard broke a couple of big ones as well. It's why Mason Rudolph did not have to do much in this game, coming in relief of Will Levis. He didn't make mistakes, and you ran the ball effectively, and voila, here you are in the win column. So,
Sam, when I wrote an article this morning about the title of the article was whichever team does a better Mike Vrabel impression will win this game. I didn't know it would be that on the nose.
No, that was a Mike Vrabel game with to the T where you hit halftime and you're like, okay, this is kind of ugly. And then Derek breaks a big one. And you, all of a sudden go, wait, the Titans can win this
31
game.
points.
Derrick Henry's got 130 rushing yards. And now all of a sudden we can win this game.
That's right.
Absolutely. No, yeah, it was a Mike Vrabel-esque game. But I think right now in the place Titans fans are in, we will take them, right? Like we will take the win, live to see another week and deal with the rest of it later. While Easton and I go ahead and get some of our initial reactions, let's jump right in.
Sam tries to figure out why his light hates him over there. just
No,
turning off.
this is actually not my light. This is my laptop as I go back and forth between tabs.
I see.
Here.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's coming in and out. But I do want to get the chat involved. Like, let's hear your words. So straight up, what's one word to describe this Titans win over the Dolphins? What is one word to describe this Titans win over the Dolphins? While you guys in the chat go ahead and sound off, I'm going to tell you about T-Dot. T-Dot, that's right. Our friends over at T-Dot, nobody trashes Tennessee. Did you know that there are over 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee roadways right now? That's a big problem, and we can be part of the solution. T-Dot spends over $23 million each year cleaning up litter, but they can't do it alone. You can help by making simple changes. Stop littering, pick up litter when you see it, and join local cleanups. Every action counts, no matter how small. Tennessee needs everybody to step up and do their part. So be part of the solution today and help keep Tennessee beautiful. Visit NobodyTrashesTennessee.com to get involved and see how you can make a difference. T-Dot, go, clean up that trash. The Titans took out the trash today. Easton, what are the one word that people are using to describe taking out the trash in Miami?
Way to land that plane, Sam. The one word that everybody is using. Ethan says backup is his word, focused on the quarterback situation. John is just taking the W, says it's about a victory. Assad said underwhelming. Okay. Sosa says defense. Amar says Rudolph. Fire Titan says dominant. Andrew says boring. A smattering of words here, kind of all over the place. Earl just taking the win. Jonathan said it was something.
It was
says,
something.
It sure was.
Confirm it was something.
Strange. Bewildering from Bryce. Nice from Robbie. Here, I think Chandler's all over it right here. Relief is what I think Titans fans ultimately are feeling in this moment. Robert says ugly. Darius says, all right. Supreme here on the nose. People saying Rudolph because of the backup intrigue, but really it was the Pollard.
He's the man.
That's right.
He can do it anytime.
Jeremy says Rudolph proved Easton wrong about his 9 completions and 85 yards. What did he exactly prove me wrong on? Grateful. Skip says that the Titans finally got their win. Anthony making up a word saying not special. Sam, it is a boring word, but it's what we opened the show with today, the pregame show, and it's what I got to end it with. It's a relief for Titans fans to get this win. And we can kind of transition here, not to skip over your word, but I'm imagining we're going to transition here to talking about what this means for the Titans long term. It's what we talked in the pregame about, whether or not a win could really mean a full restoration of faith in the Titans going forward. This kind of feels like what we thought it might feel like. Pregame I said they could win, and it's still going to feel like, well, it was against a listless Tyler Huntley Dolphins team. So
Tyler Huntley looked horrible.
The whole Dolphins team looked horrible. Tyler did. He looked like a guy that got there 12 days ago.
How many times was Tyreek Hill probably should have had a 70-yard touchdown? And
all 3 targets?
There were like 2 or 3 of them probably that could have been big plays. So, right, we do have to take some of those things in stride to take a 31-12 win and understand this doesn't happen against Tua. It doesn't happen against some other teams. So I like the word relief. I like our Austin Stanley coming in here with the word extending. You extended your season for another 2 weeks. You extended life an extra 2 weeks by getting the job done. This was taking care of business. You should have won this game. You did win this game. So yeah, it feels like we felt. I don't know if this gives me supreme confidence in the Titans long term, but it at least feels good to get one and get one in the right column. And sometimes that's all you need, right? Like sometimes you pick up 1 or 2 games that you win when you're playing subpar football or not your best football. And then when you're at your best football, you're, in it a little bit more.
Sure. I don't begrudge that at all. Sorry, I was addressing.
I was going to say, yeah, I thought you were frozen for a minute there. You were a statue.
I was really reading something apropos of nothing, just looking at how Titans underbettors got screwed tonight because the total was 37 and they were sitting at 35 with 2:27 left and then a safety and then a meaningless touchdown over cashes. Tough scene for the underbettors, but you know what? Them's the breaks. So did you give your word, Sam?
No.
Okay. So what's your word?
Let me give my word, and I want everybody to be, wait, hang on. Everybody take a deep breath. All right,
Okay.
right. Let's all be
What do you
with
got to
me
drop
here.
on
Let,
us?
let me let me finish my sentence,
Okay.
right?
We'll hear you out. We'll hear you
I
out.
think you will hear me out.
Hey,
I'm not.
chat, let's hear him out real quick. Let's hear him out.
Thank you. My one word is misleading. Misleading. This is a good win for the Titans, but I think this is misleading in terms of the narrative that's going to exist after this game. I think the idea that Mason Rudolph led this team to a 30-point game is misleading. The idea that Mason Rudolph is the obvious answer at quarterback for the Titans moving forward is misleading. The idea that the Titans have fixed all of their problems is misleading. So it's a good win. I like the win. I'm happy with the win. Get fired up. I'm not telling you not to be fired up. Get pumped. Your team won a football game in primetime. So I'm ready to go. But I saw a lot of people saying, hey, boo me, throw the tomatoes all you want. Mason Rudolph handed the ball off a lot. Michael said he just handed it off. He completed 9 passes for 85 yards. This idea that Mason Rudolph is going to lead you to the playoffs or Mason Rudolph is a much better option for the Titans than Will Levis, I don't think we can say that after this game. So I'm fired up. I love the win. Congrats on 30 points. It's nice to have the streak gone, but this is a little bit misleading when you look at the box score. Like, the Titans did not play a pretty football game tonight. And I think when you look at 31 points, the box score is a little bit misleading. So that is the word that comes to mind for me.
Sam, Austin, who's watching in the chat, those of you in the chat that are regulars in our post-game show, you all know how pleased I am in my soul that I am not the one who had to say it this show. This is me every single post-game show. I say something like that, and then I get all these tomatoes. But instead,
that's fine.
Sam, you get the tomatoes today. So
but it's a fair
big
take.
Shout
Right?
out to you for taking one for the team.
Your takes are stupid. The ones that get the tomatoes.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Probably. I don't even know what they are, but probably. Right?
Last time it was that Malik Willis didn't beat the team. It was that the Packers beat the team, which I don't think was stupid. I think that was true. The same way that tonight Mason Rudolph did not beat the Dolphins. The Titans beat the Dolphins. Same kind of deal. Much more like, I don't want to make that false equivalence.
Right, okay.
Malik looked way better in the win over the Titans than Mason Rudolph did tonight, which even further proves the point that Mason Rudolph didn't do anything tonight to make. Here's the one thing. If you're trying to one thing in the Mason Rudolph corner, the check for Mason Rudolph. What did we talk about? What did I write a whole article about this morning? Don't do dumb shit that hurts the team.
Look, this is what I was going to talk about, right?
So go with that, Sam.
Here's a good comment by Denise, I think. Mason Rudolph plays smart. Will Levis has the talent. And there is going to be a question moving forward for the Titans about when you need to play smart and when you're okay with taking a chance on Levis's talent. I think you are absolutely still in a spot right now that talent is more important. Levis needs to be the quarterback. I think Levis is the quarterback. I don't know what Brian Callahan is saying at the podium right now, but I would imagine it is something to that tune of Will is our quarterback as long as he's healthy, and probably a health update.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question for them. I think fans will question it.
I don't think it's a question right now. And maybe you hit a point at some point down the road where you have to ask yourself, okay, is the talent that Levis has worth it? Or do we just need a guy that's not going to make a mistake, that's going to play smart, knowing that the talent with Mason Rudolph isn't there the same way that it is for Levis? I just don't think you're at that point right now. But that this right here, smart versus talent, when there is a question down the line, if there is a question down the line, this will be the question that Brian Callahan and the Titans are asking themselves. Are we there? No.
Yeah, and this is something that I probably shouldn't say to get myself in further trouble, but I'll push back on the smart thing even, because I'm going to go back and watch the tape.
You definitely could make that argument. I mean,
how many opportunities was Mason Rudolph given tonight to make a dumb decision?
Not many.
Off the top of my head, I count 2.
And I mean,
on one of them, it was an incompletion, and one of them was the one really impressive play he made tonight, the strike to Tyler Boyd that set him up for a field goal before half. So the coaches, they had the training wheels on, and I don't think it was disrespectful to Rudolph tonight. Sometimes you play a game where you can tell that the coaches have the training wheels on a guy, and it's like, well, they really they need to get going in this game or they're going to lose. In a game like this, like we said at halftime, whoever the quarterback is, you slap those training wheels on because you are winning without a passer. You
have
don't
to
need
adjust. Like, I think the Titans did something really well in this game, Easton, that you brought up as one of your pillars ahead of time. I think the Titans coaching staff adjusted very well. They adjusted to the situation that they were in, realized that you were ahead 9-3 in a game, and the Dolphins offense was not doing anything. They were not scoring points against your team. And I think in turn, you know, one, with the injury to Will Levis and having to throw Rudolph in there, and then two, in the second half, there was a pretty clear pivot in game plan from the Titans coaching staff that I felt, like you said, put them in a position to not make, you know, the detrimental error, and just kind of put them in a spot to survive, right? Like, to don't mess it up. And I think that's a credit to coaching. I agree with you. I think Mason Rudolph was not putting a point, and I can put a ball on this so we can move on more to Mason Rudolph talk. I don't think he was really put in a situation to make the big mistake. But I do think that is a credit to the Titans coaching staff and knowing what was required of them and required of their quarterback in this game to win it and calling a game according to the plan.
Well, Sam, they really, sorry not to cut you off, but to put a bow on that idea from the X Factor at the beginning of the show, they really accomplished all three things I said the coaches need to do, right? They need to be able to adjust in the game. Check.
No, they need to hang on. Well, hang on. Don't get there yet. Let's go. We can go there right now. Fine. We can go there right now.
Okay.
Let me tell the folks about X Golf.
Go for it.
We're going to get into the X Factors.
Okay.
You
my
gave
bad.
Your pregame X Factor. I have my pregame X Factor. I think they both kind of need to be talked about. And I think the chat was on a pregame X Factor as well. That deserves to be mentioned. But first, tell you guys about our partners over at X Golf Nashville. X Golf has reinvented the player experience by creating the most accurate indoor golf simulators on the market today, giving every person the power to take on the world's top courses, compete in a wide variety of formats, improve their swing with lessons in superior analytics, all while being totally entertained. They're in Nashville and Murfreesboro. I've been to X Golf countless times at this point. I love it there. Grab a drink, hang out at the bar, get some good fire food, hang with your friends, get tips on your golf game from a golf simulator that gives you swing analytics. Improve your game at the home of indoor golf, X Golf Nashville, and now in Murfreesboro as well. Easton, now continue, because you brought up your pregame X Factor, and you feel like the Titans hit all three.
I think they went 3 for 3 and killed it. So my X Factor at the beginning of the game, if folks missed it, was 3 pillars of coaching elements of this game that I felt like we hadn't seen so far that I wanted them to implement tonight. And I thought that they hit all 3. Number one, like you mentioned, was being able to adjust in game, showing that ability to recognize patterns during the course of the game, stick with what's working, get away from what's not. I felt like the Titans recognized obviously they recognized the effectiveness of their run game. They weren't running think back to the beginning of the game. They were not running the ball at all. I tweeted out, man, the Titans, they weren't getting a push at all. And so I'm excited to go back and watch the tape to see what really broke down. Were they putting less in the box on the defensive side? Were the Titans running were they running more zone? Like what was it that they did? Because they clearly adjusted something and it started to work really, really well. The second thing was scheme around the problem you have at right tackle. And again, an easy game script for that, because you didn't have to drop back and pass very often. Today. But I didn't
really notice right tackle today, which is great.
Sure. And there were a couple of times that I felt like they were unnecessarily running to the right when their strength, especially in the run game, is the left side. But I have a feeling, just anecdotally, they were running more on that left side, getting away from their problems on the right, doing the smart thing. So check there. And again, one sack tonight, I think, a single sack of Mason Rudolph.
From what I remember, I believe it was one.
I know of one. I don't think there was another one. So good night in that regard. And then the third
one, Dolphins had one sack.
Okay. And then the third pillar was getting going on offense with the short passing game. The short, quick passing game. And again, I'm going to have to go back and look at the numbers on this. But again, anecdotally, they were getting the ball out very quickly. With Mason Rudolph, a lot of that was, the screen game and the quick passing. Like that stuff that we wanted to see them lean on tonight, they leaned on it, and it was effective. So I think that they went 3 for 3 on my X Factors. And I have some coaching notes in terms of play calling here and there. But overall, I thought that they had a good night.
Yeah, my X factor was Jarvis Brownlee Jr. And his matchup specifically with Jalen Waddle. Waddle had 6 targets, caught 4 passes for 36 yards. I didn't think Waddle was all that effective. I think Brownlee held his own and did fine. Made a couple of very nice tackles as well in the game.
I didn't really notice Waddle a whole lot in that.
Yeah,
game.
I mean, credit to Jarvis Brownlee Jr., a rookie, a day 3 draft pick. He had 5 total tackles, which was near the top of the box score for the Titans. Did a very nice job. So he did step up at home in prime time. The Titans seem to have a player in Jarvis Brownlee, and a guy who is only going to get better with time, but certainly stepped up in the time that needed it the most. I got to give credit to halfway the chat, halfway myself for an X factor that the chat pointed out, but a guy that I love and will never stop taking my victory laps, because T Sweat was a dog today.
Hey, I'm on this train, baby. I'm on the T Sweat train.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. T Sweat was a beast, but this has been my guy from the start. And I really think no Jeffrey Simmons and an early injury to Keandre Coburn, T'Vondre Sweat was paramount today for this Titans defense. And my goodness, this Miami team could not run the football. Jalen Wright got going a little bit late. They finished with 9 carries for 32 yards, but Devon Achane, 10 carries for 15 yards, just absolutely suffocating. He had multiple tackles for loss, a few big losses for Achane running the ball as well. This guy dominated 2 or 3 tackles for loss, just really, really, really getting it done.
1 penalty for being too good at getting a tackle for loss.
That
exactly. Wasn't holding. That was shedding a block. I think it was on. I think it was on former Titans legend, the center in Miami, that shed block that.
I do believe it was.
I believe it was
that $2 steak.
That little $2 steak action
got burned a little bit.
Yeah.
Credit to T'Vondre Sweat, and the chat obviously made his impact their X factor. At least a lot of people in the chat did. I think that was a very good one, because part of beating this Miami team is being able to stop the run. The Titans defense did that very, very effectively. Easton, let's go ahead and look back at that guy, Mason Rudolph. And I'm curious, because I think we might end up being all over the board here. But we're going to get into our quarterback grades. How do you guys grade Mason Rudolph's performance today in a Titans win over the Dolphins? Need a grade in the chat for Mason Rudolph's performance against the Dolphins. While you guys do that, don't forget to like the show. Hit that like button. But Easton, I'll start with you while the chat kind of gets rolling here. What is your grade for Mason Rudolph?
Oh, this is a tricky one.
It is tricky.
Yeah, it is. I'll give Mason.
That's a lot about your rubric, what you give Mason Rudolph today.
Yeah. Because I'm grading for excellence. I'm not a pass fail guy, so you don't get an A+ just for not failing.
Yeah, you don't get an A+ for winning a football game.
That's right. We're striving for excellence here in my classroom. And so I'm going to give Mason Rudolph, I'll give him a solid B, just a good round B. I felt like, again, it is really, it's nothing that he did wrong so much as he just was there. I really want to give him a pass fail grade and just give him a pass, because I don't feel comfortable giving him any higher than a B, because again, he completed 9 passes he had 1 good, actually impressive pass in the entire game. I'm not saying that it's his fault he didn't have more. They didn't ask him to do more. So I think a B is perfectly fair. You take that home to your parents. Mom and dad, I got a B. They're pleased that B's get degrees. Don't worry about it.
All right. JQ says C. Darren says C+. Mark has it at B-. We've got A, C, B, A, B-, B+, C.
B for
C,
boring,
B,
I'm seeing in the chat.
B, C, B, B-, A, C, B, C+, C-, B-, C, B, 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 C+, B+, C, 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 C-, C+, A-, B-, A. I mean, everybody's over I've got 1 D, but I think for the most part, everybody's over the 70% marker. I cannot believe you gave out a B to Mason Rudolph. This was a C performance.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I am.
This was you said it yourself. He was just there. I agree with Mike, by the way. I think A is nuts. Scott says A's are wild.
Yes.
Hey, y'all have not seen an A quarterback performance in quite some time.
Let me put my hand up here. I've been roasted for my 3 straight weeks. I've been roasted for my quarterback grade, so I may have been giving a little bit of a generous B. Maybe more B minus was appropriate.
Listen, I know people are excited that the Titans won. We haven't seen an A performance in quite some time. I get it. This was a C. I'd give him a Z for snooze fest if I could, but it was good.
What was the last A quarterback performance for the Titans? Will Levis's debut?
Probably, yeah. I mean, listen, you were spot on here, Easton. You said it gets a degree, right? Mm-hmm. It got you to graduation.
That's right.
C's are as bad as you can do.
C's also get degrees. So.
C's are as bad as you can do in most schools. D's, I guess, in some schools. C's are as bad as you can do and still, get the credit for the class. And so, right. Mason Rudolph gets a credit for the win. He was all right. He was there.
He did his job, man.
He didn't fail the test.
No,
he
gets
fail
a pass.
Anything. He turned things in on time. Did he get all the right answers? No, but
got enough of them.
All right. Hey,
sure.
This is a C, man. This is a C performance. This embodies C performance. Some guys, some special students can just show up and they can turn out a B performance.
That's right.
Some students can show up and turn out an A performance. Mason Rudolph does not. He's got to work hard for those A's. He's got to work hard for those B's. So that he's
a real blue collar student, Mason Rudolph.
And there's nothing
wrong. He's out here grinding.
Nothing wrong with that. C, control the clock. I agree. I like all of these. What does C equal from the chat? But yeah, this is a backup quarterback game. This is the epitome of a backup quarterback game. And Kazuma says impeccable A+ on the handoffs from Mason Rudolph. I'll give him that.
Sure.
But yeah, so a C from me there.
Just out of curiosity, what grade does Tyler Huntley get on the evening, Sam?
I grading Tyler Huntley on a curve because he's only been there for 2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
And he still fails.
He got a hand up and he still didn't get there.
I gave him extra credit graded on a curve and he still failed.
That's tough.
He was bad. He was very, very, very bad.
Ethan says E for effort for Tyler Huntley.
Sure. I'll take E for effort. He tried. Yeah. Good for him. But look, we don't have our same recap that we normally do where we go around and can give you all the updates on the Sunday slate for the Titans. But now that week 4 is in the books, we can give you an idea of where they are at in the division. Mm-hmm. Easton, I am devastated that the Jacksonville Jaguars could not be competent for more than 5 minutes and actually hold on
tell me about it.
I'm with you. Sunday, because I think at least personally, I'm seeing a little bit of a different tune if the Jaguars can hold on to that game. I think you're heading into the bye right now, and yes, you're 1-3. Yes, things have gone kind of ugly at times. You're sitting there looking at 1 game back from being in first place in the AFC South. The Texans have played some pretty bad football to start the year and are still managing to sit at 3-1, which I think is kind of frustrating for the Titans. So they're at 3-1. The Colts sit at 2-2. Titans are at 1-3. The Jaguars are 0-4.
Only team without a win now, right? Congrats to the Jacksonville Jaguars. No wins.
Won and the Titans won. So cheers to the Jags. Potentially,
Doug Peterson's going to enjoy his golf.
Getting that number 1 pick for what? Because Trevor Lawrence signed a big old deal, and they might enjoy trading that pick. Who knows?
Can I say one thing about the division, Sam? I understand the frustration. I was, from a betting standpoint, I was rather frustrated because I had a couple of things writing on that. But the bottom line is that as long as the Tennessee Titans stay within 2 games of first place, until they play these divisional games, they control their own destiny, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you play 2 divisional games, that is the equivalent of 2.5 games. Because if you sweep your divisional series, you get the tiebreaker. So if the Titans stay within 2 games of the Texans all year long, and you get to whatever it is, week 15 and 18 when they play them, you win those games, you beat the Texans this year. So that's the rat race, and they're still within it, and they're not winless heading into the bye. So that's all they could ask for, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, this team certainly becomes a lot more intriguing right now with a victory on Monday Night Football. Feels good to get one in the win column. Now you've got some questions moving forward. Curious, I'm probably going to hop off here once we wrap this up and immediately go watch Brian Callahan's press conference, see what he had to say
Well,
about
we have
Will
one quote
Levis.
from him already. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah, go. Well,
We got
give it to the
a. I mean,
people.
just a
Let's get it.
reiteration of the 100% behind Will Levis was what came out across my timeline here. So,
Yep.
what we thought they'd say is that it's Levis is still the guy. He just has to get
That's
healthy.
never been in doubt,
Nope.
for me at least. With as far as Brian Callahan's concerned. Actually, before we get out of here, let's go ahead and get to some of these super chats, and then we'll wrap up here. So King Beezy, well, that just happened. Yeah, it did. Thanks for the super chat. Go ahead, like the show because King Beezy's here, and the Titans picked up a big old W, and it did just happen. The streak is over. One day after I write about the Titans breaking 1,000 days, Easton, they finally snapped it here.
That's right.
Noah comes in, says, not going to lie, probably the ugliest 30 points he's ever seen. Defense looked great against the backup quarterback and a banged-up offensive line. The Titans O-line seemed good after Rudolph came in. Only 2 sacks, 1 attributed to Tajay Spears. I agree. I think this was a good day for the Titans offensive line. A lot of improvement from the Titans offensive line. There's a lot of things to be encouraged about from this game. And if there's something that I'm taking from this game moving forward, Easton, it's the fact that the Titans offensive line looked like they figured it out a little bit more. And if they can do that more consistently, I think we have a better chance of seeing this offense click.
Okay, this is an interesting conversation that we can briefly have. What's your letter grade for the line today, Sam?
B.
Offensive line, letter grade.
B.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought they were good. Like not great. Not amazing, not perfect. They had some penalties, untimely, a couple false starts that got them behind the sticks. But I think they overall held their own and did what you need to do to win a game, gave their offense a shot. And really, that's all I've been looking for from them over the last few weeks is, by the way, Dustin also says, great job, Nick Folk, who deserves his flowers for 5 field goals. And
how many fantasy leagues do you think were ruined by some granddaddy strong legs Nick Folk this evening?
Over 20 points in fantasy. He had 3 50-yard field goals. Who said he was washed? Almost 40 years old. Nick Folk getting it done.
Keep Narvison.
My laptop is running a little bit low here, so we're going to whip through these super chats. I left my charger in the other room. I'm an idiot. Noah comes back, ultimately hoping this win will show Will he doesn't have to be Superman to win games with this team around him. Will can learn a lot from how Mason managed this game. He needs to become a game manager. I think this is a great comment. I think this is a perfect example for tape to potentially show Will Levis of, hey, Will, sure. Mason doesn't do anything special. But I will say, Noah, in order to do that, you have to run the ball. And the Titans have not run the ball for Will Levis at any point this year.
You're also not going to face Tyler Huntley every week. Like that's part
of it.
No,
totally. Yeah. I mean, look, Will Levis didn't he made a couple mistakes in the second half. He didn't do anything special in the first half of the game against the Bears, and the Titans were up 17-3 in the first.
If you can get to 30 points, who cares?
I mean, they were up 17-3 with Will Levis showing he can manage this offense to success. But that was when the Titans were running the ball. The Bears made an adjustment on the defensive line, shut down the run on the second half, and all hell broke loose for the Titans. But I think it starts with the running game. Eduardo says his X factor is benching Levis, start a smart QB in Mason. Womp womp. Not going to happen, Eduardo. Brian Callahan backing his quarterback. Eduardo comes back, says it was a C with 0 first team reps. Do we give him the reps? I guess talking about Rudolph moving forward in practice.
No, you don't.
I would say no. Unless Levis's health is a legitimate concern.
Well, so one update on that real quick for the people. Callahan said he's 100% behind a starting quarterback when he's healthy. Levis will have an MRI this week for what is believed to be an AC joint issue.
Okay. All right. So waiting on results from the MRI.
You may be getting Rudolph just because of the injury for the future.
Yeah. As I'm on 1% here, Amnesia says we don't need a game manager. We need a franchise QB. Mason doesn't give the Titans a future. Even if he wins, he is holding the teams back. I agree with this wholeheartedly. We've talked about this at length. The idea that, hey, if you don't need to go 6-11 or 7-10 with Mason Rudolph, you need to explore your ceiling with Will Levis and put him in a position to succeed. And then Zach Smith and Logan wrapping it up with Nick Folk MVP love.
Start the chatter.
You folk around, you find out. And the Dolphins found out today.
There it is.
That's all we got. We're back tomorrow morning, A to Z Sports morning show. I don't even know who's on the morning show.
It's Zach and Austin.
Austin Stanley, Zach Bingham, they'll be here. I'll have a Titans at 2 tomorrow to recap Brian Callahan's press conference from after the game and his press conference from tomorrow afternoon. So stay tuned for all of that on A to Z Sports and A2ZSports.com. Easton, you're going to have some written content. I'll have some written content. Buck Rising will have some written content. Till next time. Tighten up. Big win. Nice to get in the win column. Your first one with A to Z, Easton. Welcome aboard.
Hey, it feels great. I like this a lot better. I do.
All right. Let's go. We'll see you guys later. Tighten up.